If you jumped into there, you'd be immediately vaporized. This dam is so powerful, NASA calculates it slows the Earth's rotation by 0.6 microseconds every year. Now it's time to take a look at the top 15 most powerful dams in the world. Number 15. Nurek Dam, Tajikistan, 3,000 megawatts. Work to build the Nurek Dam in Tajikistan, which was at the time part of the Soviet Union, began in 1961, and it would be a further 19 years until it was fully completed. At 984 feet or 300 meters tall, it became the tallest dam in the world, and even to this day, it's the second tallest ever built. Built in a gorge of the Vakhsh River in the west of the country, it's an unusual design whereby it's made up of a central core that's made of cement to give an impermeable barrier that was then surrounded by almost 71 million cubic yards of rock and earth fill. The reservoir that it created, which was known as Nurek, is the largest in Tajikistan and is more than 40 miles long, with a surface area of 38 square miles, and required 5,000 people to move home. A new town nearby, also called Nurek, was specifically built to house the engineers and workers on the dam to ensure they're always close by if need be. The water that's held back is used to drive the 9 turbine generators within the power station, with an output of 335 megawatts each. The entire facility has a potential capacity of 3,015 megawatts, which at the time of completion was around 3/4 of the entire country's total energy needs. The reservoir isn't, however, purely used for power generation, and an 8.6-mile or 14-kilometer-long series of tunnels is also used to channel it to irrigate 300 square miles of nearby farmland. Number 14. The Xiangjiaba Dam, Argentina, Paraguay, 3,100 megawatts. Built across a natural waterfall formation in the Paraná River that runs along the southern border of Paraguay with Argentina, the Xiangjiaba Dam is named after an island that was once further upstream, but has since been submerged since the water levels rose as a result of the project. The dam itself is 2,651 feet, or 808 meters long, and the installed generator means it's able to produce up to 3,100 megawatts of electricity. Built as a collaborative effort between both countries, the first plans were drawn up in the 1950s, but it was only in 1983 that the work on its construction finally began. By 1993, a lock design to allow ships to navigate past the dam was opened, and the first turbines began operating the following year, with the rest coming online by 1998. It was a highly controversial project, not just because of the impact it would have on the environment, but because of its overall cost that by the time it was complete had overrun, and it's estimated to have been around $11 billion. Even then, it wasn't able to function to its full ability because the reservoir it formed couldn't completely fill up. Even by 2011, the water level was 23 feet or 7 meters lower than had been planned for, and this meant that the hydroelectric plant only operated at 60% capacity. This has, however, now been solved, which resulted in the flooding of an additional 640 square miles, and the dam's become a vital part of infrastructure for both countries. Number 13. Drastic Dam, Russia, 4,500 megawatts. The Drastic Dam and hydroelectric power station is positioned on the Angara River in Siberia, Russia, and was for a time the largest single power producer in the world. The plan for its construction was first approved in 1954, and construction had already begun by the end of the year. By 1961, the whole dam had been completed, so water began filling up the reservoir, and the whole project was finished between 1966 and 71, when, with its 10 turbines, it had a maximum output of 5,000 megawatts. In the time since, however, the turbines have been replaced due to old age, and there's now 18 hydro turbines that have a combined max production of 4,500 megawatts. The dam is made up of a main concrete wall that's 3,031 feet or 924 meters long, and 408 feet or 124 meters tall at its highest. On top of it, there's a road and a railway to allow transit from one side to the other, but because the river has never been an important route for ships, there's no way for vessels to cross. Normally, you'd expect a power plant like this to provide energy to a number of nearby cities, but the Drastic Dam is different. Instead, around 3/4 of what it produces is used by the Bratsk aluminum plant, and the remainder is used by hundreds of factories that were built close by to make use of this energy provision. Number 12. Tarbela Dam, Pakistan, 4,888 megawatts. Built on a stretch of the Indus River in Pakistan, the Tarbela Dam is around 20 miles or 30 kilometers from the city of Swabi and 65 miles or 105 kilometers from the country's capital city, Islamabad. The structure was completed in 1976 as a means of providing electricity and also to assist with the irrigation of farmland and control of flooding along the river. And raising 470 feet or 143 meters above the riverbed, it has created a reservoir behind it called the Tarbela Lake that covers an area of 97 square miles. The installed capacity of the power facility that makes use of the water flow is 4,888 megawatts, but a recently announced investment project hopes to increase this to 6,200 megawatts within a few years. What's unusual about the Indus River is that it's by no means a regular water flow. Instead, sees huge volumes pass during monsoon season and very little during the winter. The formation of the reservoir means that water can be stored during plentiful times and released during drier periods to ensure regular, predictable flow that communities downstream can rely upon. The big problem is that meltwater entering from the mountain brings huge amounts of sediment that are building up at the base of the lake, and this is reducing its capacity to such an extent that the dam itself is expected to only be usable until 2060. In an attempt to overcome this, a series of further dams are now being built upstream to slow the flow of the sediment in hopes that the dam's lifespan can be significantly extended well into the next century. Number 11. Robert Bourassa Dam, Canada, 5,600 megawatts. During the 1970s, Canada embarked on what was called the James Bay Project, which involved the construction of a series of dams and power plants on the La Grande River in Quebec. At a cost so far of more than $20 billion, there are still elements under construction to establish it as the biggest hydroelectric generating region on Earth. But for the moment, the largest part of the project has been the Robert Bourassa Dam. Built between 1974 and 1978, it's 1,800 feet or 550 meters wide at its base and used 30 million cubic yards of fill to give it structural integrity. Behind it, it's formed the Robert Bourassa Reservoir that has a surface area of 1,095 square miles and contains an estimated 14.8 cubic miles of water within it. This is used to power 2 hydroelectric stations, of which the Robert Bourassa generating station is the largest, with the current maximum output of 5,616 megawatts. It produces around 15% of the energy in Quebec and is the world's largest underground power station. Number 10. Krasnoyarsk Dam, Russia, 6,000 megawatts. Built on the Yenisei River around 19 miles upstream from the city of Krasnoyarsk, the Krasnoyarsk Dam was built between 1956 and 1972, primarily to provide power to a huge aluminum plant that was being built at the same time. It's a concrete gravity dam that's 407 feet or 124 meters tall, and with its 10 generators can produce up to 6,000 megawatts of electricity. The most controversial part of this dam's construction was the reservoir that it created, which is informally known as the Krasnoyarsk Sea. It's 241 miles long and 9 miles wide, with an average depth of 120 feet. And with a surface area of 770 square miles, this has, unsurprisingly, a major impact on the local environment, even to the point that during winter the river downstream doesn't freeze, despite having done so before the dam was built, and instead produces huge clouds of fog that cover the area. Furthermore, its location interfered with the vital shipping routes, so engineers behind its design also built an electric rack railway to transport vessels past. Amazingly, it's the widest gauge railway on Earth, measuring almost 30 feet across, and it's able to move a ship from one side to the other in 90 minutes. Number 9. Xiangjiaba Dam, Russia, 6,400 megawatts. The Xiangjiaba Dam is the largest power plant in Russia, and with a maximum output of 6,400 megawatts, provides more than a quarter of all energy derived from hydroelectric means in the country. The original plans for the dam and the station were signed off in 1960, with construction beginning in 1963, and the first turbine ready to operate by 1978. It was only in December of 1985 that it fully became operational, however, and has since undergone several upgrades to prolong its operational life. The dam itself is an arch gravity design, which means it purposely curves to help divert water pressure to stronger parts. It's 794 feet or 242 meters high, with a crest length of 3,400 feet or about 1,000 meters, and a scaling thickness of up to 347 feet or 105 meters. The Xiangjiaba Reservoir has formed behind it and has a surface area of 240 square miles and exerts a pressure of around 30 million tons onto the dam, 60% of which is countered by the dam's own weight, with the remainder being pushed into the rock along the banks by the curved design. It's believed to be the strongest dam of its type in the world, but it hasn't been without its problems. There have been a number of accidents on site over the years, including a catastrophic failure in 2009 that killed at least 45 people and destroyed most of the power generation equipment, leading to calls for it to be completely upgraded and for several other plants to also be built that can provide excess capacity in case another problem develops. Number 8. Longtan Dam, China, 6,426 megawatts. Built on the Hongshui River in Jiangxi, China, the Longtan Dam is a roller-compacted concrete gravity dam, reaching a height of 709 feet or 216 meters, and it's the tallest of this type in the world. It was designed to control floods, aid with navigation, and produce electricity. With its underground power plant, it's able to produce up to 6,400 megawatts of electricity. The first plans for the dam were put forward in 1950, but because of a complete lack of critical infrastructure in the area, such as roads and bridges, a huge amount of preparatory work was needed first. Construction on the actual dam finally began in 2001, and it was completed by 2009 at a cost of $4.2 billion. Measuring 2,700 feet or 849 meters long, it created the Longtan Reservoir, that is a catchment area of more than 38,000 square miles. And in the process of formation, submerged more than 300 different rocky outcrops that have made the upper part of the river extremely difficult to navigate. To overcome this, the tallest ship elevator system in the world was built, which has the ability to carry vessels weighing up to 500 tons beyond the danger area. Number 7. Xiangjiaba Dam, China, 6,448 megawatts. With a maximum output of 6,448 megawatts, the power station at the Xiangjiaba Dam is the third largest in China. Construction on the dam across the Jinsha River, which is an early tributary of the Yangtze River in southwest China, began in 2006, and it was fully operational by 2012. As a traditional design gravity dam, the main wall is 2,982 feet, or 909 meters long, and 528 feet, or 161 meters tall. And it created a reservoir behind it with a surface area of 37 square miles. Currently, the facility has been fitted with 8 generators, 4 of which have an output of up to 812 megawatts, with the other 4 producing up to 800 megawatts, but within the design was the ability to expand this in the future as energy demands increase. For now, the vast majority of the energy that the power plant produces is put into the Shanghai high-voltage direct current transmission system, which became the world's first 800 kilovolt high-voltage line that connects the dam with Shanghai that lies more than 1,290 miles away. Number 6. Grand Coulee Dam, United States, 6,809 megawatts. Designed to provide hydroelectric power and also to store water for irrigation purposes, the Grand Coulee Dam was built on the Columbia River in the state of Washington between 1933 and 1942. At first, there were only 2 powerhouses on the site, but the addition of a third in the mid-1970s means that it's now the largest power station in the United States in terms of its maximum capacity, which is currently rated at 6,809 megawatts. This concrete gravity dam is 5,223 feet long and 550 feet tall, and behind it is the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Lake that has a surface area of 125 square miles. The plans for the dam were a matter of great debate in the 1920s, with vicious campaign tactics employed by both sides, but those who argued in favor of the dam were arguably vindicated because it led to a period of rapid growth in the surrounding economy. Factories during the Second World War were powered by the energy generated there, and this is what led to the need for the installation of an additional power plant. The reservoir also provides water to irrigate an estimated 671,000 acres of farmland, which has transformed food production in the region as well. Number 5. Coulee Dam, Brazil, 8,370 megawatts. With a name that means grasshopper's water, the Coulee Dam is located on the Tocantins River, which flows through the state of Pará in Brazil. It was built in 2 phases. The first, that took place between 1974 and 1984, saw the construction of the dam and the first power generators, with the second taking place between 1998 and 2010, and seeing additional generators being added as well as a series of navigation locks. By the time it was fully complete, the concrete gravity dam was 4 miles long and 256 feet high and had a maximum power output of 8,370 megawatts. The reservoir it created, which is known as the Lago Tucuruí, has a surface area of 1,100 square miles, and understandably was highly controversial because of the environmental impact. The dam has, however, provided energy to more than 13 million homes, and 60% of the power it generates is used in industry, which has generated an extra 2,000 jobs. Quite whether it was worth it depends on who you speak to, but it's generally regarded as one of the greatest infrastructure success stories in modern Brazilian history. Number 4. Coulee Dam, Venezuela, 10,235 megawatts. With concerns for the struggling energy network, Venezuelan authorities began looking for a suitable site for a hydroelectric power station in the early 1960s, and soon chose a spot along the country's second-largest river, the Paraguay. Construction had begun on the dam by 1963, and the initial phase was completed in 1969. At that point, the concrete gravity and embankment dam, which was 4.6 miles long and 531 feet high, was already beginning to hold water back and would soon form the Coulee Reservoir, which, with a surface area of 1,600 square miles, became not only the largest body of fresh water in Venezuela, but one of the biggest man-made lakes on Earth. It satisfied energy requirements for a few years, but with demand rapidly increasing, a further dam and powerhouse were built to give the facility a maximum output of 10,235 megawatts. Since it's been in operation for more than 50 years, however, there are now concerns around the survivability of some of the older parts, so a huge renovation project to refit the entire facility is expected to begin within the next few years, something that could further increase its efficiency and production. Number 3. Xiangjiaba Dam China, 13,860 megawatts. Built across a valley of the Jinsha River, which is the upper source of the Yangtze River in China, the Xiangjiaba Dam is an arch dam that's located near to the town of the same name. The site was chosen not just because of its potential for power generation, but to help limit unpredictable water flows along the river in a way that would prevent floods and make navigation downstream a lot easier. Construction began in 2005, and amazingly, everything was complete by 2014 at an estimated cost of $6.2 billion. The dam wall is 2,300 feet long and 937 feet high, making it the 4th tallest dam in the world. It's able to produce more energy than these numbers would suggest, however, because it's able to leverage the natural height changes within the mountainous surroundings. The reservoir behind it, therefore, is at an elevation of 2,000 feet and fills the natural canyons. There are 2 underground power stations with a total of 18 generators, and this gives the power plant a maximum output of 13,860 megawatts, most of which is sent to Shanghai along a series of high-capacity transmission lines. Number 2. Itaipu Dam, Paraguay, Brazil, 14,000 megawatts. The border between Paraguay and Brazil is largely taken up by the Paraná River. This was found to be the ideal location for a power station to be built by the two countries. Despite opposition by other nations that rely on the river, construction began on the Itaipu Dam in 1971, and it was completed by 1984 at a cost of almost $50 billion in today's money. Described as being a combination gravity, buttress, and embankment dam, it's almost 5 miles long and 643 feet tall, and has produced a reservoir that has a surface area of 520 square miles. Described in 1994 by the American Society of Civil Engineers as one of the 7 wonders of the modern world, the Itaipu Dam has transformed energy usage throughout Brazil and Paraguay. With 20 generators, 10 on each side, it has a maximum capacity of 14,000 megawatts and is far more than Paraguay actually needs, so the majority of their half of production is instead sent to Brazil, where it's transported to support the Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro region. Number 1. Three Gorges Dam, China, 22,500 megawatts. It is hard to comprehend just how large and powerful the Three Gorges Dam in China is, but with a maximum capacity of over 22,000 megawatts, it's able to produce more power than the combined capability of the country's second and third largest dams. The Three Gorges Dam is located on the Yangtze River near the town of Sanduping and was finally completed in 2012 after 18 years of construction at a cost of $31.7 billion. The dam wall is 1.4 miles long and 594 feet tall, and the reservoir behind it has a surface area of 419 square miles. The dam holds back so much water, almost 40 trillion gallons, NASA estimates that it slows the rotation of the Earth by 0.06 microseconds every year. The Three Gorges Dam is a sign that China is trying to move towards a future with greener energy, but observers have raised questions about relying on one structure to provide so much capacity. The dam, for example, increased the chances of landslides in the area, and there are real concerns surrounding the amount of damage that could be caused in the event of a terrorist attack. Despite this, the Three Gorges Dam is undoubtedly one of the most advanced and impressive power stations that has ever been built, and is being seen as a blueprint of how the ones in the coming decades should be designed too. Watch our Machines playlist for more top 15 videos about awesome machines. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best machine videos.